Roger Smith of the True Blue Lounge, and today on Ask an Advisor, we have Dawn Williams. Dawn's a realtor and a broker. In this case, she's not an advisor alone, she's an expert. Like always, please like, subscribe, and send to a friend. And without further ado, let's talk to Dawn. So, Dawn, this segment is called Ask an Advisor. In your case, you're the expert. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was questions about buying a home. And I have lots of questions I'd like to ask you. But for our viewers, I'd love you to tell us what you do and why I'm asking you, the expert.
Okay, well, Roger, I've been licensed as a real estate agent in the state of Florida for over 32 years. And I've had my brokerage for over 23 years. So I broker my office, and we have niches that we service, my agents, approximately 50 agents. So we deal with different types of real estate: residential, commercial, bank-owned properties, short sales, investments, you name it, we're able to assist our clients there.
So it looks like I came to the right place. I came to the right
I hope
place.
you did.
This is good. This is good. All right. So my first question, and what's nice is that you don't know what's coming. My first question to you is, what sort of mistakes do a lot of new buyers make, especially if they're buying in Florida and places like that? What are the things that you notice the most?
Well, the biggest mistake would be not to buy. And many times I'll have clients say, well, is this the right time to purchase? And I've always shared with them, it's always a great time to buy if you don't own. And I mean, I live through this here at Prague Realtors. One of the things that we do, Roger, is we share with our clients how to build wealth through real estate. But if you're a first-time home buyer and you don't own, I always share with them, if you have your cash to close and you're able to find a property where your monthly payment is comfortable and affordable to you, why wouldn't you purchase?
Okay. Is Florida a good place to buy now, would you say?
Well, here's the thing. Florida is always in demand. Folks from all over the world, anybody who's anybody, as you know, Roger, owns a piece of Florida. Now, I can tell you that the cost of living,
Poor me.
well,
Poor me.
you need to change that, Roger. You need to own a piece of Florida too. But the climate here, the proximity to the islands and to Latin America, it's great. Two seaports, two international airports right here in South Florida makes it a very desirable place. People to do business as well.
Okay.
And so while I can share with you that the cost of living has gone up over the years, it is still a desirable place if you can afford to.
Okay. My next question for you are, what are the hidden costs in owning a property that people don't realize?
So if you're coming from as a renter and the refrigerator breaks, what do? You pick up the phone and you call your landlord, right? He comes over and they get that taken care of. If your window is busted, the same thing. So what we counsel our clients to do when they purchase a home is to have an emergency fund, because things will go wrong. Even if you're talking a brand new home, things will break over time. So you want to make sure that you have an emergency fund so that when these emergencies come up, you have the resources to take care of it and maintain your home so you're not dealing with deferred maintenance, because one situation can get compounded and create other situations that over a period of time becomes very costly.
Okay,
Okay.
good, good. These questions are going to get harder because they're all the stuff I really want to find out.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a home and say, for example, you have a little bit of equity in the home, you fall on hard times, you lose your job, you lose a spouse, what would you advise as an expert for this person to do very early on if they don't have, you know, large savings or things they could sell to hold on to the house?
So, one of the things that's prudent to do is if you're a homeowner and you have some equity in your property, you can open up what's called a line of credit, a home equity line of credit. And that gives you access to the monies that you're accumulating in your property. Now, I caution folks, this money is not to be taken out to go on expensive vacations or buy gifts or buy, luxury vehicles or things of that nature. It ought to be guarded and used only in dire emergencies. Or what we've seen folks do also, and we've assisted them with this, if you're sitting and over the last few years, Roger, I guess you're aware that the property values have gone up astronomically here in Florida, right? So we have clients who purchased back in 2007, 2008 for $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 at that time. That's when the market, had crashed. And those same homes now are valued at $500,000 and $600,000. So these folks are sitting on a lot of equity. And some of them are younger families. And so what we've taught them to do as well is they can access some money from there and purchase multiple real estate assets. And so you start building a portfolio of real estate, and that's really how you amass wealth.
That sounds very, very interesting. Really good for young people to do if you're into the money. But wow, don't you think that's a really large step to be thinking, hey, I can take out the equity of one and buy another and buy another and buy another? I mean, you have to be very, very risk averse to be able to sleep at night knowing you owe all that money.
Well, not true because you'll do that cautiously. And the asset that you purchase, your investment assets, you kind of work your numbers, and this is where we come in, or any specialist will come in, right? An advisor will sit down with you and look at the numbers and make sure that the property is going to cash flow. Look at the rental income that this potential purchase will generate.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the condition of the property, is my roof relatively good? Is it good? Do I have a good 5 or 10 years in there? Do I have hurricane impact windows and doors? Are they fully operational? Is my electrical system good? Is my plumbing system good? What kind of flooring do you have if it's a rental property? Do I have tiles throughout so you're not dealing with replacement of carpets and so forth, right?
Yep.
So you kind of look at the asset from a different set of lens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at the rental income that's being generated in that area. You look at what the cost of holding that asset is going to be, your principal, your interest, your taxes, your insurance, and any HOA fees that may exist. And then you look, you see if you're going to have a positive cash flow,
Mm-hmm.
and you project for your vacancy rate as well, 10%. So we do it conservatively.
Mm-hmm.
And but like anything, Roger, there's a risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't take the risk, you won't get the benefits also. So you've
You
got to
know,
wait.
Dawn, Dawn, I think I saw this the last time I spoke to you. Is this inner strength that you have? Um, and what I wanted to ask you was, with the children nowadays, Gen Z, yeah, and millennials, they don't want to be tied. A lot of them now, even the younger ones, don't even want to go to college because they don't want to be saddled with debt. And a lot of the youngsters I notice want to have apartments. They want to move to Austin. They want to move to Florida. They don't want to be tied down. I bet you have some advice for them.
And when I started out in the younger dawn, When I purchased my first townhouse, I'll tell you, I wasn't in real estate at that time. I was renting an apartment, Roger, and then I was really super excited to have my own apartment. And then the second year of renting, they sent me a letter and they said, well, your rent is going to go up. And I think it was going up by about $200 a month. And I said, absolutely no way. And so I started looking around and I met with a loan officer and he approved me and he said, sure, I can get you qualified. And so I went out and purchased my first house. Now it was a fixer upper. And Dawn had, in my early 20s, I had no idea what I was getting into. I saw the property. I loved the property. It needed flooring, it needed appliances, but I had guts and I bought it. And I'll share with you, I bought that property for probably just under $50,000. This was in the 90s, early 90s. And I sold the property about 3.5 years after that. And I sold it for 3 times what I bought it for.
That's big money, big money. Wow, wow.
That's big money. And we have to be mindful. These things happen every single day. And so my advice to young folks coming out is instead of renting, make sure that if you have the ability to purchase, purchase. If you're leaving town, you can rent it out. And chances are, if you don't want to become a landlord, if you don't want to be accountable to the tenants, there are property management companies who can handle that for you. So you can own the asset and have the asset making you money, giving you, cash flowing every month. And in addition to that, you're banking on the appreciation. And then there's certainly tax benefits for, being a property owner as well that you can realize. So
Dawn.
there's so many different benefits.
So I'm a youngster. I'm living in with my relatives in Tamarack, and I get hold of 15,000 US dollars, and I come to you, and I say, Dawn, I'd like to get to own a piece of Florida. What do you say to me?
We get you with a lender. We can run preliminary numbers, but I usually like to stay in my lane, as they say, Roger. So I would get you aligned with one of our preferred lenders and have you get pre-approved. And once we establish your affordability, what your purchase price should be, what your monthly payment should be, then we start looking. I'll say, okay, Roger, this is what you can afford. You're approved for, 350,000. Let's just throw a number out there. This is what you can purchase in these cities. How does this look to you? And if the 15,000 is not enough, Roger, to make your down payment and pay your closing costs, right, which are your associated costs for the purchase, we may be able to negotiate seller assistance, where the seller is able to contribute to your closing costs. So there are different ways that we can put the deal together.
Okay, cool, cool. This is a beautiful question that I came up with that I wanted to ask you. Always wanted to know myself. So, as people get older, and they're cognitively, their mind's going a little bit, why or what would you say to someone that you're of an age where you really should be downsizing? Downsizing meaning your hips aren't good, your knees aren't good. You have a big upstairs house. You get in to become 59, 60, 65,
Hey,
70.
listen, I'm close there.
Right. But mentally, there's this thing about not wanting to sell, not wanting to get, to put yourself in a comfortable, smaller place that you can manage. There's this thing where we want to hold on. How do you see these sort of things I'm talking about, and how do they really play out? Am I making sense?
Absolutely. And I went through that with my dad. with my parents. You know,
Okay.
we had a house in Jamaica. They had acres of land, lots of land and so forth. And that's what he was accustomed to. And so we wanted them to transition here. And so it took some convincing to say, you don't need that land anymore. You need a condo. And once he transitioned and they got situated in their condo, life was beautiful. He didn't have those responsibilities and so forth. So we come across that all the time. And, we come across folks who are in their late 50s and they may still have a small mortgage and they still have a car payment and they have credit card payments and maybe some other loans as well, right? And they're being enslaved to this property that they really don't need all of this space. And so one of the things that we do, and I'll just mention this here, Prague Realtors is an acronym for Prime Realty Advisory Group. So from the very get-go, when I formed the company, our vision was to be able to advise folks how to build wealth through real estate. And so we're able to sit down with clients and give them the advice and show them alternatives. Some of these folks, they think they have to work until, way up in their 60s, and they recognize that they could do early retirement if they wanted to. It's just repositioning their resources and their assets and simplifying their lives and removing some of the burdens that they have become so accustomed to.
You
So
know,
excellent question. Folks that are in that age group, sometimes they're sitting on the money. It's in the house.
mhm.
That's what they've worked for all their lives. So they're sitting on 500, 600,000, $700,000, and they're still slaving away. And so we can say, okay, it's an older house. It's going to require a roof in short order. And we do this on a daily basis. We have an office in Port St. Lucie, and that's a different market, right? Less expensive than Broward County. And so part of the trend is we'll see people just like the scenario we're talking about. So we'll sell their Broward County home and they'll purchase a brand new house in Port St. Lucie that has builder warranty, free and clear of a mortgage, maybe no HOA fees, lower insurance, lower taxes, and they still have hundreds of thousands of dollars left over. So life becomes a beautiful thing for them.
Right, right. It's just, you know, we know it's the right thing to do, but it's like preparing for your own demise. We all know we're going, and we keep on,
It's an
putting these things
emotional thing.
aside. Yep, yep, yep.
Yes.
Cool, cool. My last question for you: if Dawn had $500,000 spare, apart from the rest that you have spare, but just 500,000, what would you do with it in real estate right now?
Um, I'm also a flipper. So I purchase properties as well and renovate them and resell them. And that's probably an area that I'm so passionate about. I just absolutely love doing that. Been doing it for years. So I'd always reinvest whatever monies that I want to back into real estate.
Wow. Have you always been this financially prudent?
Um, my family members will probably tell you that I have been from I was a child growing up.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Hey, Dawn, thank you very much. I really appreciate
Okay.
you answering these questions. And as I said, there always, there's things I really wanted to know. So, you know what I mean? Thank you,
Well, I'm
thank you,
glad
thank you.
I'm glad you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and you have a great evening, Roger.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.